And first take. What's going on, everyone? It's Sid. Gifted Hands, a film that came out back in 2009 for TV only, starring Cuba Gooding Jr., which told the story about a African-American man who grew up in a very impoverished and very prejudiced neighborhood, and he was able to overcome that and become a really successful neurosurgeon and pioneer really innovative surgical techniques when it came to operating on brains of Siamese babies. That's a pretty insane story, but what you might not realize is that that's Ben Carson's story. Granted, in the title it says a Ben Carson story, but that was a made-for-TV movie that was released back in 2009, and even though that was nominated for 4 Primetime Emmy Awards, it's still something that no one really remembers exists. And the reason why I say that is because this guy is a neurosurgeon. He is an extremely skilled and learned and intellectual person, but he's been in the media for some really stupid shit. Let me tell you exactly what my topic is. Ben Carson is proof that education doesn't mean shit. Now, before you say anything, just hear me out. I'm gonna go over 7 crazy things that Ben Carson has said or done that proves that Ben Carson is proof that education doesn't mean shit, and you can be an extremely educated human being and still be the stupidest human being on the planet. So here we go. Number 1, anarchy could cancel the 2016 election. Ben Carson warned in an interview in 2014 that if we continue down this path that we're on, that anarchy could lead to the cancellation of the 2016 election. He claimed that the growing national debt, ISIS, and the then Democrat-controlled U.S. Senate's refusal to consider legislation that was passed by the Republican House of Representatives all pointed toward the idea that the country is headed towards anarchy. I'm pretty sure that is not how anarchy works, dude. Number 2, Congress should be able to remove judges from voting for marriage equality. In an interview with a conservative radio host earlier this year, Carson said that it was unconstitutional that judges have ruled in favor of equality despite statewide ballot initiatives that resulted in completely different outcomes. That is an extremely wrong assumption on his part, because you can't just remove a judge from his position because he voted on something that everyone was against. That is not something that you can impeach a judge for. The judge has to do something that is considered a severe crime, like either bribing, treason, or any sort of other misdemeanor that would require him to be removed from his position. But just because he voted for something that you didn't agree with or that was against majority ruling completely makes no sense at all. Number 3, being gay is a choice, and prison turns people gay. Oh my god. Carson is now infamously known on going onto CNN and saying that being gay is a choice. And in order for him to prove what he said that, oh, people go into prison straight and they come out gay. Dude, that is not how any of this works, bro. Number 4, there is no such thing as a war crime. I'm sorry, what? He was quoted in saying to CNN, if you're gonna have rules for war, you should just have a rule that says no war. Other than that, we need to win. And this was in response to him being in extreme support of sending ground troops to Syria. Number 5, Jesus Christ. Obamacare is the worst thing since slavery. Back in 2013, Carson was still gaining sort of recognition around the Republican Party, and he said in a speech that Obamacare is really, I think, the worst thing that has happened to this nation since slavery. And he goes on to say that, and it is in a way, it is like slavery in a way, because it is making us all subservient to the government. And obviously Carson has continued to speak out against Obamacare, saying that it's just a bunch of crap and that politicians can't repeal it. So I have no idea what to think about what he thinks about slavery at this point. Number 6, in response to the recent college shooting in Oregon State, when Ben Carson was asked how he would have responded if he was in the situation, Ben Carson said that he would have gotten everyone to rally with him and rush the shooter while he's shooting at you. Have you thought clearly about what you are saying? I don't think so. You do realize, right, that when this guy is carrying an automatic rifle that can fire 10 rounds in the blink of an eye, that you would want to duck and cover or get out of the way instead of going at him and 100% increasing your chance of getting shot. And finally, number 7. Ben Carson claimed last week that he was robbed at gunpoint at a Popeye's chicken restaurant in Baltimore, and that he survived by telling the gunman to, instead of shoot him, shoot the cashier. And if that story isn't disturbing enough on its own, the idea that he acted so selfishly and is now bragging about it, Carson may have another problem. The fact that the Baltimore Police Department has not been able to find any record of such an incident happening. Ben Carson is having a difficult time trying to convince the American population about his story. And the main reason for that is because he's made so many absurd statements about everything from slavery to the Holocaust to a magic cancer cure to his disbelief in gravity that many people are quite unsure on whether or not to believe what the hell comes out of his freaking mouth. Oh, and on top of the fact that he was robbed at a Popeye's chicken restaurant, he is also claiming that this incident happened close to 30 years ago. That's really interesting because, well, he was a vegetarian at the time, so what would he be doing at a Popeye's chicken restaurant if he's a vegetarian? I mean, obviously Popeye's chicken does have vegetarian options now, but back like 30 years ago, they only served chicken, so this whole thing makes no sense at all. He's just saying whatever the hell comes out of his mind to get him higher ratings in the Republican polls. Like, it makes no sense that a learned individual that has graduated from a prestigious university and received a degree in the field of neuroscience and neurosurgery and has performed countless surgeries and innovated different techniques on surgical procedures, that he could say some of the stupidest shit that has come out of anyone's mouth in recent memory. So what I'm trying to say is this: you can have a degree in the most technical and the most skillfully demanding field out there, and you can have years of experience, and you can be the most renowned person in your field, and you can still be completely oblivious to normal everyday things. And regardless of how much education you get, if you don't have some serious common sense fundamentals, your education doesn't mean shit. And Ben Carson is proof that education doesn't mean shit if people don't have common sense. And if people are actually backing this man for saying some of the most absurd things as anyone has ever said, I don't know how we can trust this person to be our president. Thank you guys so much for hearing me out and watching this little video. If you liked it, be sure to hit the like button down below. And if you want to see more videos like this, make sure you hit the subscribe button, which is also right down there, the big red subscribe button. Be sure to check out my last video where I did about Nicole Arbor and domestic abuse. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I will see you in the next video.